Hi and welcome to Coffee with My Sunshine. Today I'm going to show you 12 of the best fall craft projects that we've done together so far. I hope you enjoy. For this one, I am taking this acorn from the Dollar Tree. You also need a hot glue gun and some pine cones and paint, which I didn't show you, but obviously you need paint. So when I got my acorn home, I realized that it was really scruffy on one side and uneven, but I like it. I like it for this project. So I'm going to be using that side. And all I'm doing is taking some paint that I had mixed, and I didn't mix it very well because I wanted different kind of layers and just an uneven look on the front. So I mixed brown, red, and like a yellowy color and just painted the acorn really sloppy because I'm going to take a baby wet wipe and go over it and smear it in. I think it gives it a more natural look that way so you don't get the brush strokes. I think it looks kind of cool with all the unevenness on the front of it. And then I'm going to go ahead and do that on the top part because where we're putting the pine cones, you don't want to see that really light wood. So I'm going to do the top and then I'm going to flip it over and do the back and the sides just so it looks finished. Then I'm taking these cute little pine cones that I collected from my backyard because I like to use things that are more natural and also just reuse things so I don't have to buy more items and then eventually fill the landfill. So I'm just cutting them apart. I want them to be kind of thin because that's going to be our little topper for our acorn. So I just cut a whole bunch of those and I'm going to hot glue them on. So what kind of things do you guys like to use from like your yard or from outdoors in your projects? Because I don't know, I like bringing the outside in sometimes. Like I made this this branch hanger thing with mason jars that I thought was really cool. And it was just a branch from an olive tree that we'd cut down. But I don't know, I like that kind of thing. I like using like leaves and stuff like that too in my projects. But let me know, and let me know if there's anything you would like me to use from outdoors that hopefully I can find in my yard in a project. Just, I don't know, give me ideas. So then I'm taking this word harvest. This is from the Dollar Tree. Like I said, Joann Fabrics and Hobby Lobby, or no, just Hobby Lobby. I don't know about Joann Fabrics. Has some really cute wooden words. I think they're thankful, blessed, and grateful. But mine was out. They didn't have any when I went for them. So I'm just going to take this word harvest and I'm painting. I mixed gold and antique white together to make kind of like a lighter gold-ish. And I didn't like how it looked painted on, so I just took this sponge and sponged it on. It just gave it more of an even coat. And I love the color that turned out. I don't know if you can see the sparkly in it. And then I just hot glued it and put it onto the acorn. And I'm super happy with it. It's definitely different from the ones I've seen. So let me know what you guys think. And always, I really appreciate your video ideas. And if you're new here, I would like to say hi and welcome you to my YouTube family. I would love for you to join us and subscribe. If you're returning, you know I love all of you. And I appreciate all your support that you give me, all your sweet comments. I don't always get to them. I read them all, but I don't always get the chance to respond. But just know that I love and appreciate you guys. And thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye. All you'll need is a broken rake, paints of your choice, some florals, and I am using this welcome sign from the Dollar Tree. So I am starting with this rake that has been in our garage for quite a while. The handle broke off, so we weren't really going to use it for anything else. It should have been tossed a long time ago. But I saw this really cute decor piece on, I can't remember what website it was, but if I can find it again, I will link it. But I wanted to recreate it, and they used like a metal rake, but all I had was this giant plastic one. So I am going to paint it with this brown chalk paint to give it like a metal look. Super easy, I just coated it out and I only needed one coat, which was really nice. And I love using these chalk paint brushes. They're so big and fluffy. They coat huge areas, so it doesn't take as long. Then I wanted to give it like more of a metally old look. So I'm taking this bronze metallic paint by Arteza and using a smaller paintbrush just to kind of, you know, put it in just certain spots. I don't want it all over. I just want it to like kind of be poking through the brown. I didn't paint the other side because, I don't know, nobody's gonna see it and I just didn't feel like it. So I'm also in this video going to give you the invite information for my Using Trash to Create Treasure Challenge for the month of August. I had to skip it last month and I know so many of you were looking forward to it, so I hope you can join in this month. So then I am taking this apple barrel paint in I think it was antique white and I'm just painting this welcome sign from the Dollar Tree. I picked this up sometime last year. I think it came in like a 3-pack. And after painting it with just a paintbrush, it was really streaky, so I just used a sponge brush and dabbed over it while the paint was still wet. And it kind of gave it more of like a softer look, I guess. I added a little bit more paint to the sponge brush as well. And then this is where you're going to use the florals. I have some here from the Dollar Tree and also some from Walmart. These are from Walmart. If you get a chance, if you haven't seen their floral section, they are really awesome. They're super cheap and they're really good quality. These are from the Dollar Tree. Sorry, my camera is out of focus. I didn't realize as I was doing it. But then I just kind of placed the florals where I wanted them. And after looking at it in the pictures, I think I'm going to add more floral picks to it and more leaves. And I will also probably add some sort of ribbon or bow, maybe like a checkered one, something that goes with fall. And then after you find the placement of everything that you want, go ahead and hot glue it. And if you want a more secure hold, you might want to use super glue and stuff, especially if it's going to be on your door when it's cold out, because in my experience using hot glue in the colder temperatures, it doesn't last very long. It just kind of pops off. So then I took the welcome sign after it had dried and hot glued it onto the rake. And here it is. It's kind of like a wreath-ish sign. I'm not sure what you would call it, but you see what I mean? It's kind of bare, so I'm going to be adding definitely more florals and probably a ribbon. So let me know what you guys think of this. Today's DIYs are going to be fall themed, but they don't have to be. So I was trying to come up with different ways that you could share or pass down family recipes as gifts. I'm also going to be using a technique that I've never used. It's a way of transferring things by saran wrap, which sounded really interesting to me. So if you would like to see how I made these, please keep watching. So to start with, I took a book that I already had, and my thought was to get like a blank book, you know, those ones that you can get with just blank pages on the inside. But for this, I wanted to make my own little book cover. So I wanted to use this new technique using saran wrap. And for this one, all I used was a Dollar Tree napkin, and I separated I guess there's 2 or 3 plies sometimes on these napkins, but this one had 2, and I separated them and just used the top. Then took some saran wrap, and you want to lay the saran wrap down on the object that you're transferring to, and then put down the picture or whatever that you're transferring. And then over that, you just lay a plain piece of paper and iron it. And you're going to want to iron for a couple minutes and keep checking to make sure the edges and stuff are sealing. And I use the highest setting on my iron. And because this was my first time doing this, for some reason the edges lifted. I'm sure I will work out the kinks as I do this more. So I just went with it and decided to make this more of a rustic look by distressing the edges. I thought it would be cool to actually use this as a way to share recipes and maybe just write some in there from the family and pass them down, you know, if somebody is getting married or for a housewarming gift. So after sanding the edges to give it a worn look, I just took the iron again over the top with the piece of paper on the top just to seal it down and make sure it was all good. And if you have any of the saran wrap stuck to the book, you can just kind of peel those off with your nail, or you might even be able to wipe them off with a damp rag. So I thought this would be cute. Like I said, this isn't a blank book, but that was what I had in mind. And then you can just add recipes for the gift, and then it leaves blank pages for them to add recipes as, you know, time goes on. For this next one, I saw this cutting board at Goodwill and thought it would be awesome to add a recipe to. And of course you could use a brand new one. I just thought of this idea when I saw it. And yes, I ended up taking the sticker off and scrubbed it. And then here I'm just trying to figure out the placement of this recipe. This is one that my mom had given me a long time. She had made a copy of one that she had. So I thought it would be fun to use. I'm going to use the same technique, putting the saran wrap down first, adding the recipe, and then just ironing over the top. And this is going to take a little bit longer because it is thicker. It's just regular paper. And it seemed to work pretty well. The corner lifted a little bit, so I just laid the paper back down and ironed it again. And that worked great. And I think it looks really cool, and you could decorate the edges if you wanted. And there's that saran wrap that stuck to it. You can just scrape it off with your nail. And like I said, you can add more embellishments or decorate around the recipe. I just decided to add a tag and put whose recipe it is, and I'm going to actually get a recipe from my mother-in-law and put it on the opposite side. I think it would be cute to have it so that there's 2 recipes on there. And then I just, like I said, used a tag that I had made and put whose recipe it was, and then added a little bit of greenery so that it would make a really pretty gift. Now for this next one, I'm obviously using a Dollar Tree pumpkin, and I wanted to carve it out because I thought it would be really cute I'm doing a pumpkin roll recipe. And originally I wanted to carve it out and then add, you know, the ingredients to go into the recipe. Like I said, these are like gift ideas. So I thought it would be cool to add the ingredients from the recipe that you're giving inside the pumpkin. So that's originally why I painted this white, because I was going to try and Mod Podge the recipe onto it, and I didn't want it to look like just paper stuck on a pumpkin. So I kind of wanted it to blend. After many attempts of trying to add this recipe onto the pumpkin with Mod Podge, I decided to give up and do it a different way, because there were so many bumps and curves and stuff, and I just couldn't get the recipe to lay right on the pumpkin. So obviously this way wasn't working, so I decided to switch it up a little bit and do the same type of thing, but not on the pumpkin. So I decided to decorate the pumpkin first after I had painted it white, because it was kind of boring to me, and I was going to use puffy paint. Well, the puffy paint lid was jammed, so I was squeezing it really hard, which is something I don't suggest. Probably poke a pin through it. But anyway, I was squeezing it really hard, and it ended up exploding and launching the lid across the room. And here is the mess that I am left with. It got all over the floor, all over the furniture, on the walls, on the little palette that I use. It was everywhere. I even found some on the ceiling. So I just recommend poking a pin and not squeezing really hard if there is a clog. Anyway, I wanted to use this puffy paint because I think it turns out really cool in the end. I did this one time on a bottle and it looked awesome, and plus it's fun to use. So I went ahead and just in the little indentions just did some dots down the pumpkin, and I ended up going in each of the grooves. So then for the recipe, I ended up layering a little label just like I did for the last one, with some scrapbook paper, canvas, and the recipe, and then on the back of that is the same sort of thing, but the recipe for the filling. And after I made that, I just went ahead and attached some greenery that I had wrapped with twine, and then I'm going to take a little bit of twine and wrap around the stem. And here's the fun part. This is where you put the ingredients for the pumpkin roll or whatever recipe you have. Put it in the pumpkin, and I think that's super cute. Obviously there's stuff that you don't want to pack in the pumpkin or that won't fit. And then I just took this little spatula that says Mix and Joy, and then this is where I'm going to be attaching the recipe card. And then I think this would just be a super cute gift, whether you're bringing it to give to a host, or like I said, a wedding, housewarming, or just because. I think it's really sweet to give recipes, especially that you're handing down from family. And here's everything all finished. So let me know in the comments below if you guys like receiving gifts like this. I know I do. I think it's super special, and I really cherish those types of things. And I have my own little booklet that I keep all of our family recipes in, from my family and the ones that have come from my husband's family. And let me know which one was your favorite. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye! And for this next project, I am using this older drop cloth that I had, and I'm just going to be making pumpkins, and these are similar to the ones that I've made with socks before, but I think they're super fun. So all I did was take some bowls that I had in the kitchen just to get the round shape, and you want to trace out 2 of them and then cut them out. And then after you cut them both out, I am using this stuff called Liquid Stitch. I think it is awesome, especially if you're not good at sewing, and then you just want to go around the edge where you would normally put a stitch in, and you want to leave a little gap. That way you can turn it inside out after it's dried. And this is also where we're going to stuff our pumpkins. And this stuff only takes like 2 hours to dry, and it's awesome. I love it. And I'm going to do the same thing. I made 3 pumpkins, so I'm going to do the same thing with the other ones. And here's that gap I was talking about. It doesn't need to be very big. And then once it's dried, you just take that hole, and this is where you're going to turn it inside out, just like this. This is what it looks like after it's inside out, or right side in. And you want to push out all the little crevices. And here is some more garbage. We're just taking some grocery bags and shoving them in there, because you know we all have a whole bunch of these that we don't know what to do with. So this is going to act as the stuffing. And then for this section that's still open, you can sew it shut, or here I'm just using the hot glue gun and I'm going to seal it up. But see, this one I was showing you, I didn't turn it inside out because I actually liked the rusticness of it, where it was fraying, so I didn't turn it right side in. I just left it how it was, and then stuffed it with the grocery bags. And I think that one's probably my favorite. And this is what I was talking about. You just take some twine and wrap it around and tie it. I did a double knot on the underside so that it holds tight. And you can do as many of these as you want, just give it the little pudgy pumpkin look. And here you just want to cut all the excess twine, and you can cut a piece of fabric to go over that so that it doesn't look so unfinished on the bottom. I wasn't too worried about it because nobody's going to see the bottom. So for those, you can leave them without stems so that you can stack them on top of each other. And then just do the top one with a stem. And I'll show you how I did the stems on these. So you're going to take that last piece of twine and tie it on to the top. I guess it doesn't really matter. You could tie it on the bottom, but I'm tying it on the top. Just the one piece. And then you're going to cut the excess off of one of the strings, or one of the pieces. And then you're going to take your stick for the stem and kind of like shove it down in there, and you're going to hot glue it. And this is why you want the extra twine, because when you hot glue it, you want kind of a lot so that it holds tight. So the twine is going to go around the big mess of hot glue that you make. See, I just wanted to make sure it wasn't going to fall off. So then I just started wrapping the twine around the stem. And make sure you're holding it in place until it dries up good. And I think it's so cute. I just love these little pudgy pumpkins. And this is what I mean. You can leave it so the two don't have stems so that you can stack it. And I think that is adorable. I actually got the inspiration for this from a picture I saw on Pinterest. Or you can give them all stems kind of in the same way. I'm just using the excess twine that I had cut from making the pumpkins, and I just hot glued it on there and then wrapped the twine around there. And then for the little twirly twine pieces that you see sometimes at like the pumpkins at Hobby Lobby and stuff, just take some twine and then, here, I'll show you in a minute once I get it off of the pencil. This one I should have left on a little bit longer, but I just tied it around the stem and I think it's adorable. You could even put a little leaf on there, which I might end up doing. But to make that, you just take some twine and some Mod Podge or Elmer's glue and coat the twine, not like so it's sopping wet, just so you can feel the glue on there. So coat it, and then you can go ahead and tie it around the stem now if you want, or wrap it around a pencil. And it is kind of sticky and gross feeling, but that's okay, it washes right off. So then you let it dry. You can use a blow dryer here if you want. And then it turns out to be a little curlicue. I think it's so cute. So I'm a sucker for little cloth pumpkins when I see them at stores and stuff. So I have a lot of fun making my own too, because sometimes they can be really expensive. Or is it just me? I don't know. I think they're more expensive than they should be sometimes. But I think these are adorable. Let me know what you think and what you would have done different for yours. For my next repurpose DIY, I am taking this little sign. This was part of my Using Trash to Create Treasure video. I can link that above as well. And I'm actually just going to be using the back side of this. Well, I'm going to be using the whole thing, but I'm drawing on the back a kind of like one of those hanging cutting boards that you see that you can get at any thrift store. But right now, obviously, a lot of us can't get out to the thrift stores or any store for that matter. So I'm just making a faux one. And I'm just using this, it's like a really thick cardboard sign from the Dollar Tree. And I just traced what I wanted the cutting board to look like, and then I'm taking an X-Acto knife and cutting it out. And this was harder than I thought it would be. So it took a couple tries, and I had to break some of the pieces off because I didn't cut as deep as I wanted. But eventually I got it to work. And then I just took some rough sandpaper to smooth out the edges and get some of the cardboard that didn't come off. I was actually really pleased with how it turned out. It really kind of looks like a cutting board. I mean, besides the thickness of it. And obviously you can't use it as a cutting board. So then I cut a hole in the handle, as you would see on a normal cutting board, and then rolled up the sandpaper and sanded it. Then I drew some lines. I didn't have a ruler with me, so I just used my clipboard that was sitting next to me. And I decided I didn't want all the lines that I had drawn, so I just erased them. And then taking one of those clay tools that I had, you can use an X-Acto or a knife, whatever you have, and just kind of gouged out the lines so that it looked like actual wood. Then I saw this trick online where you take a baby wipe and acrylic paint and you can make it look like a stain. So I thought I would give it a shot here. And I'm starting with a color that I mixed up. It looks disgusting, I know, especially on a baby wipe. But it's like a lighter brownish yellow nasty color. So I'm going to be layering it like I do when I use actual stains. So first I did this light color and then I took some orange and did the same thing. And then took a really dark brown and layered over the edges and where the lines are. And you can be choosy however you want the color to look. I was just trying to make it look distressed and used. And then I took that same baby wipe with that dark brown paint on it and just like kind of did lines throughout, kind of like you would see on a cutting board, like where it's been gouged or cut. And then I let it dry overnight and then added some twine to hang it. And this I actually found the other night. I was going through some of my grandma and my husband's grandma's old recipes, and I found this really old cookbook and I thought it was super cool. I love like this old-fashioned vintage kind of thing. So I went through it and thought these ads were kind of fun to look at, and then thought it would be really cool to add to this cutting board. So I just put that clip back on with some hot glue that was on there before from the last DIY. Just hot glued it on, and then I'm going to clip on this little cookbook. And you could put any recipe here. I think it would look so cute, like leaning up on your counter. Or I'm going to be hanging it with one of my aprons, and I think it looks adorable. I just love how it actually looks like a cutting board, but it was made from a Dollar Tree sign. Let me know what you guys think of that one. Today I thought I would do some trash to treasures because I know you guys really like that, where I take actual trash, recyclables, or things from outdoors and turn them into functional or beautiful home decor. For this next one, super simple, just taking this glass that I thought was super pretty from the Dollar Tree, some of that mossy stuff, a faux candle, definitely do not use a real one here, and an old coconut shell. In a previous video, I had made it into a little piece to hold like pins and stuff like that. So I will insert that if you'd like to see it. And a piece of floral foam. So for this, my idea was that it would look like an acorn, but I'll tell you what I think it looks like here in a minute. So I just took the coconut shell and kind of did an indentation in the floral foam so I could cut it out because I want it to fit super tight into the coconut shell. And my floral foam is kind of old, so it's super messy. But here I was hoping it would fill the whole coconut shell because I want it so that I can push down on this glass and leave an indentation so that it kind of not snaps into place but sets in place so it's not like super rocky. So I just pushed really hard to get the indentation, and then I added some Elmer's glue on the top and then smeared it around with a paintbrush. That way it would harden so that the floral foam wasn't leaving those those pieces on the glass, because that can get super messy. So you want to let it dry for a really long time. And then add some of the moss. And then your faux candle. This is why you do not want to use a real candle, because the whole thing will go up in flames in seconds. And then just add on your topper. And I thought it was so cute. I think I pictured it looking like an acorn. I guess if you painted the bottom, it would look more like an acorn. But I think it looked like a little mushroom or toadstool. But anyway, I think it turned out cute. I'm just taking this picture that I had copied on our copier or printer, and I used the pictures from this book, and I just love this book. I've had it for a couple years. My kids and my husband got it for me for my birthday because I had asked for it. I think they got it on Amazon, but I think the pictures are amazing. I'll try and link that in my description box if they still have it. Like I said, it's been a couple years. So then I'm taking this Dollar Tree sign that I've used for other projects, and this dowel, and some twine. And of course Mod Podge. So I'm just taking that picture that I had copied and just cutting it down to size. I'm just kind of creasing it so that it makes it easier to cut straight lines, because I cannot cut a straight line to save my life. Then I just took that sign and used a handsaw to cut it down and cut down the dowel rods so that they were even. And I'm just giving the letters a coat of white paint just so they don't show through the picture. I'm not sure that they would, but just to be safe. Then I'm taking some Mod Podge and coating the whole thing. And I like to spray the piece that I'm working with water, just because it gives me a little bit more time before the Mod Podge dries to slide the picture around. Then a little tip, I've shown it before, if you're using like a piece of paper, you can sand off the edges if you have any of the paper hanging over, like say this, cardboard sign or whatever, and it gives it a really nice clean edge. That way you're not trying to cut it off. It's a lot easier to just sand it off. Then all I used was hot glue. You can use anything to attach these dowel rods. If you want to use wood glue, or I don't think a nail would work, maybe it would, but hot glue worked just fine for me. And you want to make sure they're even, obviously. And then I just took some twine and attached it to the back for the hanger. And I absolutely love this one. I know this is a little bit more of like a fall picture, but I think it's so pretty. And I think it would be really pretty in like a cluster or group of 3. First, we're going to be using these wooden beads, this little wooden maple leaf, some twine, a button. You'll also need a glue gun and scissors, and your choice of paints. To start, I'm using this little wooden maple leaf that my husband drilled a tiny hole in the top for me. And this maple leaf and the wooden beads are from craftparts.com. I will tell you more about that in a minute. So here I just mixed up some paints. I wanted it to have a fall color, so I just dabbed it on with a paintbrush. And then if you've been with me for a while, you know I love using a baby wipe or a wet wipe to blend in paints, because I think it gives it more of like a natural blended look. I'm also adding a little bit of this mustard yellow color just to give it the fall colors. So this maple leaf and the wooden beads are from craftparts.com. I've worked with them before. I love their wooden pieces. I'll link a video in my description box and up above of all the awesome goodies that I got from them to work with. They are awesome enough to extend the 10% off coupon code as well for you guys. I will have that in the description box. I'm sure you will love their products because they're very well made, and a lot of them are cheaper than the dollar store. So then I am just taking this marker and drawing the little veins of the leaf. And these markers my mom had gotten me from Amazon for a long time ago. I will try and link them if I can find them. You could also use a Sharpie. And then I'm just taking brown in that same brand of marker and finishing off the edges so it looks, you know, more store-bought, I guess, not so handmade, I guess. I also painted the back. Next, I'm just taking some twine and feeding it through those beads, and I used 9 beads on each side of the maple leaf. And you can stain the beads, you can paint them. In one of the videos that I used the larger beads in, I had stained them, and it's really cool and super simple. Then after you thread on the beads, just take a smaller piece of twine and thread it through the little hole in the maple leaf, and you can either tie it on the top or use hot glue. I just used hot glue because I didn't really want the knot visible. And then I just cut off the excess. And then threaded the twine through that little loop. And the reason I did it this way is because I wanted the maple leaf to lay flat instead of sideways, if you know what I mean. And I don't know if you could tell from the thumbnail, we're making curtain tiebacks here. I just kind of wanted to do like a theme, I guess, like a fall living room decor theme video. And then I just threaded on the rest of the beads, and you'll want to measure to see how many beads you'll need to go around your curtain. And then you're going to take this button. Can you tell how old it is? This is one that my grandma had given me a long time ago that she had in her stash, so I could just tell by that Kmart sticker that it was super old. So I just threaded the button on, and then on the other side you're going to want to make a loop on that other little piece of twine. And this, you'll want it to go around the button because this is going to be what holds the tie back around the curtain. And again, you can tie it here or use hot glue. I just used a little bit of hot glue. And then you can either use hot glue to hold the twine on the button, or you can just knot it. And I'm just going to knot it because I want to be able to remove the maple leaf and add on something else for another season, like a snowman or snowflake. And then to finish off the little wrap part, I just wrapped some twine around it so you didn't see the hot glue. And this is what they look like. I ended up using them in my dining room. I just think they're so cute, and I love the fall neutral vibe that they give. And here's a picture from my kitchen into my dining room. And that's the hutch that I recently redid. I'll link that video too if you're interested. For this next one, I am using a piece of drop cloth, this pumpkin from the Dollar Tree, some paint, and also some paint markers, stencil letters, and liquid stitch. So I'm starting with the fabric. This is just an old drop cloth that I've used for other projects, and I am taking a pillow cover that I already had just to get the size that I want, because we are going to be making a pumpkin pillow cover. And you just want to measure it out, leaving enough room, like, I don't know, like half an inch to an inch for where you're going to be gluing it, kind of like is it the hem? I'm not really sure. There's tons of no-sew pillow videos. I've made a couple, so if you're interested in seeing that. But I cut out both pieces of fabric after I had measured it out, laid it on the pillow, and then put the pumpkin on top so I could kind of see where I wanted the pumpkin to be before I traced it. And then I just traced it on. That pumpkin is from the Dollar Tree, by the way. And I just mixed up some of the orange paints. It's actually lighter in person. It's pulling pretty dark on camera, but that's okay. So then I just filled it in with the orange paint, and I think it's so cute already. And then I am taking that copper leaf pen, I think it's what it's called. My mom orders me so much stuff for my crafts because she is big into crafting as well. So if she finds stuff that she thinks she would enjoy, she orders two and gives me one. So I will have this linked in my description box as well. It also came with a gold leaf pen. So I'm just taking this and tracing around the pumpkin because I wanted it to stand out a little bit more. And then I'm taking some brown paint that I had mixed together and painting it on the stem. And I just kind of layered different color browns on top just to give it a little bit of dimension. And here it is so far, and I just wanted to warn you, the paint does go through if you're using a drop cloth. Then I'm using this really stubby paintbrush just to do the pudgy parts of the pumpkin. I just mixed up a little bit of brown paint and orange paint so that it was darker than the base orange color that I used for the whole pumpkin. And then originally I was going to use those stencils for the word hello because I wanted the pumpkin to say, kind of be like, hello pumpkin. I don't know, I just think that's so cute. Because I wasn't feeling daring today, I didn't really want to try and use the stencils because sometimes I mess that up. So I'm just using these stickers from the Dollar Tree and just placing them where I think I want them and then tracing them with a Sharpie. And then I started filling them in with the Sharpie, but the Sharpie started picking up some of the paint. The paint was dry, but it was, I don't know if it was drying out the marker or what. So I switched to these Arteza acrylic paint markers, and it worked really, really well. Then you take some of that liquid stitch and put it all around the edges of the pillow cover. You're going to want the top and the bottom to be facing right side in when you do this, because you're going to turn it inside out or right side out after the glue dries so that you know, the rough edges are inside the pillow cover. And then when it's dried, just insert your pillow form and seal up the bottom edge. So this is what it looks like. I'm really happy with it. I think it's super cute. For our last project, you're going to need something like this. I got this from Joann Fabrics, I believe. Some ribbon, hot glue gun, floral foam, and a faux candle with a glass pillar. And this I got from Joann Fabrics, I think. I just thought it was really cool. It's like a tin container, and I thought it would be pretty as a centerpiece. So then I'm just taking some of that ribbon that I got from the Dollar Tree. I love this color for fall, and I'm going to hot glue it around this cute little container. And then I am taking the glass pillar candle holder and gluing it in the center. You don't have to do this, but I just wanted it so that it stayed when I was putting in the florals. Oh, and I forgot to show you a picture. You need florals for this as well, and pumpkins. So then cut up your floral foam to fit around the candle holder. And then this is where you just have fun with it and start inserting your florals. For some of these, I didn't want to cut them apart, so I'm just folding the long stem and kind of pressing them into place. The lamb's ear is from Walmart, and some of this other stuff is from the Dollar Tree. Most of my greenery I get from the Dollar Tree or Walmart, unless I have a really good coupon for Joann Fabrics or Michaels. These I thought were super pretty. I got those from the Dollar Tree. I love the little pumpkin. This pumpkin I got from, I think, Joann Fabrics a couple years ago. And then these white pumpkins and the checkered ones are from Hobby Lobby. I just got a little bag of them, and I used my 40% off coupon. So after you've put in all your florals, put in your candle, and you will want to use a faux candle. Please don't use a real one because these florals will catch on fire so fast. And I think it's super pretty. And I wanted to show you, as soon as I set it down on our coffee table, my cat was up there just sniffing away, and then, like she always does, has to chew on everything. But here's what it looks like. I'm super happy with it. There may be some pieces out of place because she was chewing on it and pulling on it. But anyway, I think it turned out really pretty. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks so much for all your love and support. If you're new here, I would love for you to say hi in the comments, subscribe, and join my YouTube family. I hope you all take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye!